Despite the number of new residential units constructed in Evanston over the last few years, and believe there was an assumption that more units would lower housing costs, housing costs have continued to rise. Do you feel that the Inclusionary Housing Ordinance is doing enough to combat this, or what other solutions would you like to see implemented?
So I think the ordinance is one of the biggest things on my mind in any day to day, because the affordability crisis is one of the bigger things on my mind as a candidate. Um, there's the assumption that more units means more affordability is something that was tried in other municipalities. I want to say which one escapes me, it doesn't matter. A larger municipality than Evanston tried something like that, and it failed. You know, they saw what we're starting to see. Prices keep going up. Cost of living here keeps going up, but population is relatively flat by comparison. Meaning we're pricing folks out of town, and we're just moving in more folks that can afford higher and higher and higher rates. That's literally the opposite of what that ordinance is supposed to be doing for our affordability situation in town. Um, and even when you want to put up, at 50% AMI instead of 60, and you're going to put in more than the affordability units you expected, and now you've even got Alderman Fleming voting for your big high rise down by the link. Okay, great, but your affordability housing units in there, that's according to an ordinance. A lawyer signed off and called that affordable, not a person living in that space. And so that's why for me, and I've been saying this is my campaign's platform, tackling the affordability crisis. Okay, I've been calling it affordable living as the platform. That you might rent, you might own, but what you do more than that is you live in your home. There are costs to living in Evanston that I consider punitive, and I consider them unnecessary. If you're in an affordable housing unit, especially in the third ward, you probably chose the third ward because of our lakefront. And I promise you, nobody mentioned a beach token to you once. So to me, that's a penalty to moving into affordability in the third ward, because you're probably not going to get to access that lakefront like you thought. And it was the reason you came. So I've been advocating things like waiving beach tokens if you're in affordable housing units. What's the problem there? Folks will gripe about the overhead of the finances for that, but they didn't with Robert Crown. I'm sure we can find the money to waive some beach tokens. Affordability is something that we can be aligning our overall city policy to help. It's sort of like CARP. You can't have one ordinance take care of this. If you're in an affordable housing unit, how about that municipal broadband comes in and drops your bottom line on your broadband bill, so your kiddo doesn't have any hindrance doing his e-learning during COVID now, and he's got a consistent Zoom connection for class. These are fees that are going to come against any family coming up, or any family trying to keep what they already have, that are just amplified during the pandemic. The parking, ticketing, the rates, sure, we're on a holiday for it, but they balloon every chance we get. Ticketing downtown was one of a former city manager's sort of go-tos anytime we needed to fill in a budget gap. Those tickets, that would be the proposition. We have street cleaning schedules that just kind of change on people, and you may or may not know when they are. I want to say this year, I think this year was a good year for me, and I might have spent $300 on tickets for my street parking here in the third. I'm fortunate enough that it's not a big deal, but if I'm a family just coming up with kids in an affordable housing unit, I promise you it is. And so these are sorts of things we need to be assessing. The cost of living in Evanston, not just getting into that unit. And I think that if you took a comprehensive look at that, and you stopped looking at the affordability ordinance and AMI as sort of the end all, I think we'd have much better visibility on the problem, just, at 30,000 feet, but that would also afford us the ability to go and tackle it in really tangible ways. And frankly, in ways that we just haven't even tried yet. So without wonking out on you for another hour about affordability, it's something I'm really passionate about. And it's something that I think we really do have just a bevy of options to go after here. And I think we should really investigate all of them with gusto. We should really be treating this like the crisis that it is.